Welcome to this regular meeting of the Albion City Council, Monday, April 2nd, 2018. If you have a phone or electronic device, I'd ask that you place it on silent. I call this meeting to order, and we will begin with a moment of silence. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Domingo, if you please call the roll.
Councilmember Barnes.
Here.
Reed. Brown.
Here.
Lawler.
Here.
Spicer.
Here.
French.
Here.
And Mayor Brown.
Here. Are there any comments from council this evening? Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to take agenda item G and postpone it until I can meet with Krista again.
Okay.
If I can make a motion to do that.
Is there a second?
Support.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? So that'll be postponed until you can bring that back. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you. Are there any further comments from council this evening? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to city manager report.
I only have one thing for you tonight. I was informed by Jim Leonardson last week that the city has taken possession of the new Vector truck, and they're currently training on it and learning how to use it, but it's a nice truck, they said, and it looks like it'll work out well for them.
Thank you. Presentations. Item A, National Mayor-County Service Day Proclamation. City of Albion proclamation recognizing Mayor and County Recognition Day for National Service. Whereas service to others is a hallmark of the American character and central to how we meet our challenges, and whereas the nation's counties are increasingly turning to national service and volunteerism as a cost-effective strategy to meet county needs, and whereas participants in AmeriCorps and Senior Corps address the most pressing challenges facing our cities and nation, from educating students for jobs for the 21st century and supporting veterans and military families, to providing health services and helping communities recover from natural disasters. And whereas national service expands economic opportunity by creating more sustainable, resilient communities and providing education, career skills, and leadership abilities for those who serve, and whereas AmeriCorps and Senior Corps participants serve more than 50,000 locations across the country, including 7 organizations in support in Albion, bolstering the civic, neighborhood, and faith-based organizations that are so vital to our county's economic and social well-being. And whereas 9 national service participants of all ages and backgrounds serve in Albion, providing vital support to city residents and improving the quality of life in our city. And whereas national service participants increase the impact of the organizations they serve, both through their direct service and by managing millions of additional volunteers. And whereas national service represents a unique public-private partnership that invests in community solutions and leverages non-federal resources to strengthen community impact and increase the return on taxpayer dollars, including more than $250,000 for organizations in Albion And whereas national service participants demonstrate commitment, dedication, and patriotism by making an intensive commitment to service, a commitment that remains with them in their future endeavors, and whereas the Corporation for National and Community Service shares a priority with city and county officials nationwide to engage citizens, improve lives, and strengthen communities, and is joining with the National League of Cities, National Association of Counties, Cities of Service, and mayors and county officials across the country from the Mayor and County Recognition Day for National Service on April 3rd, 2018. Therefore, it be resolved that I, Garrett Brown, Mayor of the City of Albion, along with the rest of the Albion City Council, do hereby proclaim April 3rd, 2018 as National Service Recognition Day and encourage residents to recognize the positive impact of national service in our community and to thank those who serve and find ways to give back to their communities. Congratulations.
Yeah, me not saying a few words, that never happens. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for this proclamation. We are part of a whole network nationwide. Tomorrow is National Community Service Recognition Day, so all branches of CNCS are being recognized through their work tomorrow. So we want to thank every single one of these and the few that are missing who are on vacation taking some personal days, who are not here, including Ryan Odell and Leah Parr. But with me is Chris Herwire, serving at the Food Hub, Emily McClelland, serving at Star Commonwealth and the Marshall Public Schools and Harrington Elementary School specifically, Marquetta Frost, who's serving at the Albion Healthcare Alliance, Lauren Freeman, serving the City of Albion, Cressy Vargo is my Vista leader, who helps support the rest of us, Andrew Texel, also at the city, working in planning, and Andrew Freund, who is working at the Calhoun County Land Bank Authority. Serving, not working, serving. So thank you very much.
Public comments. Persons addressing the City Council shall limit their comments to no more than 3 minutes. We ask that you observe proper decorum. Is there any public comment this evening on the agenda? Please state your name and address.
Mark Melanie, 422 Elizabeth Street in Albion. I'm here in support of resolution 2018-11, the resolution of support for the North Country Trail Association Trail Town designation. Many people in Albion don't know that we actually have a national park in our community. The North Country National Scenic Trail goes from upstate New York to North Dakota, almost 5,000 miles, and it comes up from the south into Albion from Homer. It follows the Albion River Trail, and eventually, when the trailway is finished across the county, it will go to Battle Creek, where the trail picks up again. Gary Tompkins is a member of the Calhoun County Trailway Alliance. What we're hoping to do in Albion is get the City of Albion designated as a trail town, meaning we would be posted on the North Country Trail website. It would be free publicity. Marshall, Litchfield, Petoskey, Lowell, Michigan are all trail towns in Michigan, and with it comes a lot of free publicity. Albion's already met virtually all the requirements, which to have the trail included in master planning documents, the EDC, et cetera, and all that currently exists. We already have a trail committee. So basically all we need to do to move the process forward is get a resolution from City Council and then fill out the actual application, which is a memorandum of understanding. The only real commitment is, as the trail committee, we need to do a trail-related event once a year, which we already do. So, again, I urge your support for this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further public comment on this evening's agenda.
Excuse me. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to support the assembly permit for Swinging at the Shell. Swinging at the Shell will celebrate its 15th year this summer. During this period of time, Swinging at the Shell, which is a 501c3, has provided in excess of 100 free concerts for the entire community of Albion. We ask that your support for this continues. This is a highlight of the Albion Community Band Shell, which is one of the most unique live music venues that I'm aware of, and certainly in this state, if not in the entire country. And we've been caretakers of that venue over the past 15 years, and it's been a great honor to be able to have our concerts there. We're thankful to Homestead Savings, Knopf Installation, Oaklawn Hospital, Team One Plastics, Castor Concepts, John and Jan Shedd, and the Albion Community Foundation for their support to make it possible. And we ask that you continue your long-standing support of our efforts also. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further public comment this evening on the agenda? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on to consent calendar. This is to approve the various session minutes and various permits. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Okay. We have approved all the items listed under the consent calendar. Items for individual discussion. Request approval, second reading and adoption of ordinance 2018-02, an ordinance to amend these various sections. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Do you want to?
Sure. So, if the council recalls, this was an ordinance to update our cemetery ordinance. As I indicated last time, I was approached by our former manager who had got some information from our cemetery sexton who had attended a conference, and basically we were just kind of behind the times in getting this updated. So it's a far more comprehensive ordinance. It spells out a lot of different things with regards to sales of plots and how we're going to do markers and memorials and mausoleums and to regulate conduct in the cemetery, and so it's far more in line with where the ordinance should be in 2018. So that's about it, unless anybody has any questions.
I'll just have one comment. I did go out to Riverside this weekend, and I noticed that the sexton was able to enforce some of these things because it looked pretty good, actually, in terms of dealing with some of the things that are out there. So I think this is a step in the right direction, and I would also advise if there's a way to maybe condense some of this stuff and include it in the paperwork that are in like the mailboxes that are at the entrance to the cemetery, because they list the price for lots, but it'd be good to have the rules included. So if we can condense that, but just wanted to tell the sexton thank you, because I noticed the difference. So is there any discussion from council on this? Okay, seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Barnes?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Lawler?
Yes.
Spicer?
Yes.
French?
Yes.
And Mayor Brown.
Yes. Item B, request approval resolution number 2018-10, a resolution for the establishment of neighborhood planning councils within the city of Albion and bylaws. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? There's a second. Discussion. Do you, yeah, come on, yeah.
Hello.
How are you?
Good evening.
Mayor and Council, I have before you a resolution relating to the establishment of neighborhood planning councils, or just NPCs, in the city of Albion. As you're aware, NPCs are citizen-run community organizations which seek to take action and solve problems in their neighborhoods. In doing so, members become more civically engaged and more involved in the democratic process. NPCs are also avenues for getting people who aren't always brought to the table to get more involved and have their voices heard. I've met individually with each of the members of the council to receive feedback on this proposal, and have listened to your comments, your questions, and your suggestions, and incorporated them into the language of the resolution and bylaws template. The resolution before you essentially states that the City Council recognizes NPCs as being important for civic engagement and democracy, that the City Council recognizes the independence of NPCs from the City Council, and that the City Council acknowledges and approves of the creation of these groups. The resolution makes reference to the City of Albion Neighborhood Planning Council bylaws template, which is a document of suggested bylaws for the NPCs. Since it is a template, this document is not meant to be a rigid, one-size-fits-all list of rules for each NPC. It is meant to include a general list of guidelines for the organizations to adopt, but may be changed at the initial NPC meetings.
Are there any questions from council? Councilmember Spicer.
No question, Mayor, just a comment
Okay.
with regard to Andrew's time. I want to thank you for your time and commitment and your efforts in this regard. I know we met on several occasions, and I made several recommendations, and you investigated them and got back to me in a timely fashion and manner. I just want to commend you, young man, on the work you do. It's outstanding, and your commitment to the things that you're involved in is outstanding. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Certainly. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I too would like to commend Andrew on his work on this. He and I met, and one of the main questions I had for him centered around getting youth involved in these, and including language that addressed if youth wanted to participate. Mm-hmm. And I see that you've incorporated that, so I appreciate the work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion from council? Okay. In terms of time, I do have one question. In terms of time frame, when is your estimated kickoff?
Well, we're looking to have meetings in sort of each of the precincts to first gather people together who are interested. Maybe they've heard about it, maybe they haven't. Okay. That's going to be going on throughout the spring. I'll be working on making flyers and finalizing dates and locations, things like that. So it might not be, this month, but probably by May.
Okay.
For these to really get kicked off.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, ask for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Reed?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Lawler?
Yes.
Spicer?
Yes.
French?
Yes.
Barnes?
Yes.
And Mayor Brown.
Yes, the resolution has passed. Item C, discussion approval resolution 2018-11, resolution of support for the North Country Trail Association Trail Town designation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Support.
Okay, moved and seconded. Is there any discussion from council? Seeing no discussion, support has been voiced from representation from the committee, and I see no discussion, so we'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Lawler?
Yes.
Spicer?
Yes.
French?
Yes.
Barnes?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
And Mayor Brown.
Yes. Item D, request, and that resolution has passed. Item D, request approval of annual mechanical and music devices for Albion College, Cascarelli's Tavern, Leisure Hour Club, Red Box Automated, and Spartan Stores Family Fair. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Support. Second.
Okay. Moved and second. Is there any discussion from council? Okay, this is an annual thing we do. Seeing no discussion, Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Lawler,
Yes?
Spicer,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Barnes, Reed, Brown,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes. We've approved the, I guess, permits for the use of mechanical music devices for the listed entities. Item E, request approval for annual commercial garbage service for Republic Waste, Waste Management, and Granger Container Service. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay. Again, this is an annual permitting thing. Seeing no discussion, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Spicer,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Barnes, Reed, Brown,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes. Item F, discussion approval of requests for quotes for city manager search process. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. The interim manager and staff provided us with I guess a modified version of an executive search RFQ in the packet, and we were able to look through it. I just had a couple of questions. So in scope of work, which is on page 4 of 10, and it shows up, I think 5 of 10, and maybe a little bit later, there's a thing about assisting the city with negotiating a contract. And I don't think in previous times we did that in-house, did we? I don't think they have.
I don't recall them being involved in the actual contract negotiation.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, now, if the firm or consultant that we hire, we can always kind of narrow this. I don't think we need to amend it, but I was wondering about that, but.
Well, we can amend it before we send it out. I mean, it's not.
Okay. Councilmember French, Councilmember Brown.
So in that same section, thank you, Mayor, coordinate psychological assessments.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Really? What does that mean?
Well, I would guess that I know a lot of times when people are applying to jobs now, they'll ask the applicant or the applicant a series of questions about how would you handle this situation. So I'm thinking it's in line with that, but we haven't done that. So I mean, I guess So again, I think that's something if we don't think we need it, we can remove it.
Well, I just want more details about what that means. Because for me, a psychological assessment is you bring a psychiatrist or a psychologist in and do a personality psychological profile. I don't think we've ever done that before. I'm just thinking that would be a cost
Or I would think I'm not in HR or psychology, but I'm thinking it probably like a test or something, like a like a personality test or something. But
Yeah, we do psychological assessments for all the police officers because we're required through MCOLs, and it's about a $500 one-time cost. So
right, but we've not done it for city manager.
right.
Attorney Harkness.
I was going to say on page 2, it looks like there's a typo in the name. It says April 25th of 2004. Should be 18.
And
Yeah, I saw that.
you said page 2.
Yeah, right in the middle.
Okay.
Statement of qualifications received.
Okay. The other sorry, Councilmember Brown.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
So, page 6 of 10, experience requirements. So the 36 is 36 months, is 3 years. So I guess I would just make them both 36. So basically what it's saying is if you've conducted in the last 3 years and then you've placed someone It's in the last two, but I would just recommend doing 3 to make it simple. It's like I said, it's the section 3 subsection B. So I would recommend changing that from 24 to 36. So I don't know if I need to. Probably need a motion. Councilmember French.
C5. I can understand why we would want the names, titles, and resumes of the person who would be working on this project if it was a singular individual. But for someone like the Michigan Municipal League, they won't know who to assign until they've had a conversation, probably with us in advance, wouldn't they? Because they'd want to know what we were looking for. I can't remember what we did last time, the last 2 times with Michigan Municipal League. Did they assign somebody right off the bat, or did they?
I think they did.
I think they only have 1 or 2 people that do that, and I think they assign it pretty quickly.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing is the section right before that. So, section on page 6, it's in the response form and content. So basically, 4C4. I would drop that because it's kind of overkill from 5 to 3. No, I wouldn't remove it. I just want to change 5 to 3. So so that we're doing this officially, let's do some amendments. So I'm going to go back. So Councilmember French, do you want to keep the coordinate psychological assessments or remove that?
I'd like to remove it.
Okay. So
Which one is that?
That's page 4 of 10. It's under scope of work.
Under purpose.
Yeah, purpose.
Okay.
Is that a motion?
I support that.
Just to remove that language. We're going to amend it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I support that.
Okay, is there a second?
I support that.
Okay.
I thought you.
It's been moved and supported. Okay, all those in favor, is there any discussion about removing the psychological assessment section? Okay, I see no discussion. We're going to just have a voice vote. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Okay. The language about assisting the city with negotiating a contract, that's immediately after.
Right after that.
Yeah, because I think the city attorney usually does that with the council, so I don't think we need that. So is there a motion to remove that?
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on that? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, and I should say that also that applies to that section. It also applies to scope of work, which is 2B9, which is on page 510, because it says that City of Albion expects the successful respondent to assist if requested. So that removes that too. Is that we're straight?
Yeah.
Okay.
It says if requested. I didn't know if you wanted to just leave that way or just take the whole thing out.
Take it out.
I would just take it out because the other
Take it out.
on page 5.
Page 5 of 10.
Number 9. Okay. I entertain a motion, on page 6 of 10. So experience requirements under B, just to bump that up from 24 to 36.
So moved.
Is there a second for that?
Support.
Okay, is there any discussion on that? So this would basically they would have had to have conducted a search in the last 3 years and then successfully placed a candidate in the last 3 years instead of the last 2 years. Okay. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay. And the only other thing that,
Did you do C4 on that page?
yeah, that was my next one. Councilmember French.
Unless you want to, did you want to mess with C4 before we moved on?
Yeah, I was going to entertain a moment to change that from 5 to 3.
Yes. I'll just say my piece, which is on page 9 of 10, item number 13.
Oh.
Mayor and council will review alternative proposals and may recommend a proposal for more than one respondent. I don't know
Which
what
is
that
this?
means. Especially if we're saying that an alternative proposal, which may or may not meet the criteria that we've established, that suggests that we're now accepting something less than what we want. I'm not sure I want to do that.
I think what that, oh, 1 second.
Colin, if you can.
I don't know.
I think, but isn't it saying if someone says, I will do the, well, if we had the psychological thing, but if someone said, okay, I'm willing just to do one piece of the process, then we could,
I think.
is that what it's saying?
Well, I guess I would say this. I think it's vague and could be interpreted a number of ways. I think what might be helpful is perhaps something more specific. Maybe if you would say the mayor and council will or may, I think it should read may instead of will.
Yeah.
Because then it's not compulsory, it's discretionary, and say may review proposals that meet, I don't know, partial requirements of the RFQ.
I would like to strike it. Sorry.
Councilmember French.
I would like to strike it just because I don't want us to go down that path. I want a proposal that meets our criteria, and if it's the only proposal that we get, or if we get two, then we get to choose between two and not sort of consider ones that don't quite meet our expectations. Well, I prefer we strike it rather than try to modify it, because I don't want to deal with alternative proposals of any kind. I want to hire one firm or one person to do that and not have to worry about bringing in others and what costs that might have to our search process, which I think is already potentially inflated.
So just for clarity, in the 12 right above it, the last two sentences says failure to comply with any mandatory requirements may disqualify the proposal. So my understanding, that's one of the question I have for Attorney Harkness is, if we strike 13, that still doesn't mean, so for example, let's say MML submits a proposal and they forget one piece. We still have the authority to overlook that missing piece.
I mean, the way that 12 is written, that second sentence is, if any individual that submits an RFQ and there's a requirement missing, it can disqualify a proposal, but it isn't mandatory, it's discretionary.
Okay.
Because it uses the word may.
Okay. Yep. And so 13 won't affect that.
Yeah, you don't need 13.
Okay. So there's a motion from Councilmember French to strike 13. Is there a second?
Second?
Okay. Moved and second. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't mind supporting striking that, but can we go back to 4C4 before because we were on a roll?
Is that a point of order?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Someone make a resolution.
well, I'd asked for a motion, but no one did it, so we'll,
Right, so that's not a point of order.
Because you raised,
okay.
it's just a suggestion. I thought we were flowing well, but we can go back.
Councilmember French.
I would move that we
Well,
make the adjustments to, what was it, C4,
so,
from at least 5 clients to at least 3 clients.
okay, so I'm going to treat that as a point of order. I'm going to go to you. I'm going to accept that. So there's a motion. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Is there any discussion to basically ask for 3 recommendations instead of 5? Is there any discussion on that? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Okay, we're going to go back to Councilmember French's motion to strike, what is that? Section 8A 13. There was a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that? Okay. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Okay, so 13 is removed. Councilmember French.
There's a typo on G on page 10 of 10.
Okay.
The parenthetical numbers should
yeah.
be 6 and 10, not 4 and 8.
Okay.
After looking at this, I think I changed it to 4 and 8 to try to get in the time frame a little better what we were talking about originally. And so I should have written in the words 4 and 8 as well.
So I'm sorry, then I'm,
So whichever numbers you want to look there.
we want 4 and 8?
I want 4 and 8.
That's fine.
Okay.
Then I modify my motion for the words preceding the parenthetical numbers to match the parenthetical numbers. So it should read, it is the city's goal to have this project completed within 4 to 8 months.
Second.
Moved in second. Is there any discussion on that? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay. Are there any other amendments to the RFQ? Okay. So we're back to the main motion with various amendments that have been offered. Is there any discussion before we have a roll call vote? And just for the public's knowledge, this will be posted, and the deadline is Wednesday, April, I think the 25th at 3 p.m., correct? Yeah.
That is correct. April 25th. Turn the camera.
Okay.
Councilman Barnes.
Yeah, we can do that as an administrative. Yeah. Okay. Seeing no discussion on that, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember French,
Yes.
Barnes. Yes. Reed. Brown.
Yes.
Lawler.
Yes.
Spicer.
Yes.
And Mayor Brown.
Yes, we've approved the RFQ document for the city manager search. G has been postponed. H, or the new G, discussion ordinance of medical marijuana dispensaries. Attorney Harkness.
A bunch of things I need to go over with the council to get them input in so that I can start crafting this ordinance for your review. So first of all, to a certain extent, we'll go in the same kind of order that we did last time. Location. The last time we were here, the council limited grow facilities to M1P, M2, M2P, and that was it. The rest of the facilities were allowed to be in B3, and then M1P, M2, and M2P zoning districts. So my assumption was that you wanted to remain consistent with that. The growers in the one area and the other facilities being able to be in those areas as well as the B3 district, but I wanted to check with council.
Councilmember French.
Just want to say I'm not a fan of having a medical marijuana facility or dispensary. The first or second thing you see is you come in off. Just saying. So I'd prefer them to be not as visible, but.
So, John, yeah. Director Tracy, I should say. Good evening.
John Tracy, Director of Planning, Building, and Code.
One question I do have, and I know that the Planning Commission subcommittee is in the process of redoing the zoning or simplifying the zoning map, or zoning codes. But from your knowledge, will that reduce or play with any of the zoning that we've done before relative to even the other previous 4 facilities?
The previous facility or zone districts, if they do change, it's going to be a minor change, probably into, rather than having MP1, MP2 will very possibly just become MP1 and MP2 without, or MP1 and M1 and M2,
Okay.
excuse me.
Okay.
So the business district, which is B3, I don't foresee that changing other than cleaning up some of the lines where it runs.
Okay. And the other question I have, it's just because of the map not being in color. I guess the boundary between the B3 and the R3B, is that, where does that,
You want me to
yeah.
kind of map it?
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, it's the same map, okay. So it's the blue.
The B3 primarily runs from west end of Beamer Street on the north side of Beamer down to just before Eaton Street. There's probably about a 600-foot stretch there on both sides. There comes B3. Runs out behind go from Beamer, pretty much a straight line behind school on Cooper Street. The B3 runs down there, just about where Kentucky Fried Chicken is.
Okay.
That's back in where's Kentucky Fried Chicken, and a smaller area there up to, basically up to, they said Chemical Bank.
Okay.
That area. And the opposite side, it's down Watson and Wiener, and back up around the apartments back there, behind the strip mall where Tractor Supply is, and then runs up all the way up to straight up north until you get up behind the existing dialysis center and the whole hotel is up there. That should be 3 area.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll probably wind up being cleaned up a little bit more as far as the lines. There's some properties that are in both B3 and residential, so.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So right now, in terms of what's used for the other 4 facilities, it's basically the blue section of the map, the dark gray, kind of charcoal right there, and then the kind of dark, I don't know what you say.
Right now,
Yeah.
the M1P, M2P, and M2 are on the south side of Austin, where you come in the town from the west, running on down Albion Street down to Brownswood.
Okay. So basically that kind of,
This area,
yeah.
and down west line is
Yeah.
bordering the river down.
So that area in the blue sections, that's what we've zoned already for purposes.
The M1 that's down here is not part of that. Only M1P.
Okay. Okay. Is there any questions from Councilmember Brown?
Thank you, Mayor. So, Attorney Harkness, you need location. I'm thinking, do we have to address like we did with the other facilities?
The distances?
Yeah.
That's gonna be the next thing I do.
Were you about to say that tonight, or?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk
Oh.
about, after we get done
Sorry.
with the location in terms of zoning districts, I'm gonna talk to you about this.
So, I would suggest using the same zoning that we did for the other 4. That and then
So what we're saying then is we'll continue along the same, because we allowed the secure transporters, processing facilities, and safety compliance facilities in the M1P, M2P P, and N2 districts and the B3 district. So you're going to saying that dispensaries can be in those same districts as well.
Yep.
Okay.
M1P, M2P, M2, and B3.
Okay. All right, that's all I need on that part.
If do we need to vote for that as a suggestion?
Oh, yeah. Well, we're just in discussion. So.
Okay. Okay.
So then the next thing I was going to talk to you about is distances from schools, parks, places of religious worship. And so let me stop right there and just refresh the council's memory. So what you did with the other facilities is with growers, safety compliance processors, secure transporters, you said that no facility shall be within 500 feet of any school, child care facility, things of that nature. You said that none of those facilities will be within 200 feet of any, 250 feet of any public park, period. If they're within 500 feet, they need to have a fence. And the same thing for places of religious worship. The other thing that you have to consider, particularly since you're talking about the distribution of marijuana now to people coming in and out of this business, is particularly in your B3 district, you've got residential areas around there, so you're going to want to, most ordinances that are being done across the state have distance requirements for residential areas from the dispensaries.
Okay. Councilman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. So normally, what's the distance from residential? And the other ordinances, same thing?
Every municipality is different.
It's different.
I mean, I guess my suggestion to council would be for purposes of consistency is, I think you're probably okay with 500 feet from schools, like you did with the other facilities. I think you're probably fine with the setbacks from the distances from parks and churches.
Mm-hmm.
I would say with residential areas, I mean, I certainly wouldn't do anything less than what you've done for the other facilities, particularly again because you're talking about distribution of marijuana. So
I would propose just keeping what we basically what you're saying, what we did for the other four.
Well, and keep in mind, the one that was different was you said you didn't want any facilities within 500 feet of schools. So do we want to say, and if I'm understanding you, Mayor, you're saying it can't be within 500 feet of schools. It can't be within 250 feet of parks or places of religious worship. And if they're within 500 feet of those, they have to have a fence. And then what about residences?
I guess I would treat that, everything other than the schools is 250, correct?
Correct. And then if they're within 500 of parks or churches, they have to have a fence.
Yeah.
So they can't be within 250, and if they're within 500, they have to have a fence.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I would keep it the same. I don't know if there's... Councilman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. So we have a goal setting session on Monday, right? Can we maybe meet a half an hour earlier and vote on these things? Like, we know what you need and you're telling us, and I'm suggesting, because I'm looking at this map, it's not in color, I'm looking at that one, but you know, we're talking about a medical marijuana dispensary, medical marijuana, not just recreational, medical. So people who frequent these or go in these establishments have to have a prescription. It's not like, you know, because I hear you have to, if it's within 500, you need a fence, and I'm thinking, okay, but this is a little different than the other 4 facilities that we've already approved. So, you know, that's just where I am.
So,
go ahead.
Council Harkness, Councilmember Spicer.
So, I guess I'll tell you what, and I understand what you're saying. The concerns that I want to express to council are, it's been my experience with other municipalities that all 5 of these facilities, more so the grower processor, most definitely the dispensaries. I understand that they're for medical purposes, but they tend to be targeted for criminal activity. I'm not saying that they're engaging in criminal activity themselves. I'm saying they're frequently targeted for armed robbery. They're frequently places where homicides occur. I can tell you in Meridian Township in the last 2 years, there's been 7. And in the city of Lansing, I mean the same. If you go online and Google Meridian or Lansing marijuana dispensary, armed robbery or homicide, you're gonna get some interesting Lansing State Journal articles. So, you know, I mean, I recommend the fences and things like that for not just protection of people from the facility, but the facility from people trying to do something to them. So, I'm fine with however you want to continue the discussion on how you want the ordinances drafted, but the problem isn't the people going in and purchasing their medically prescribed marijuana. The problem is people trying to rob the stores, people actually killing people to steal their marijuana or their money, and the other one is people that obtain the medical marijuana legally and then turn around, usually right on the premises there, and sell it to people who are not medical marijuana persons. And it's those kind of things that you want to craft the ordinance to curtail.
Councilmember Spicer, Councilmember Brown. Oh, and then Councilmember Reed.
She was great. Go ahead.
No, well, Ms. Spicer.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say that I was one of the ones that did not support the medical marijuana dispensaries. However, I do want to, since we have has been approved and we will have them, I do want to make sure that we take it slow and that we use good sense and judgment in establishing these. I would truly, really like to see them in residential area. So that is my preference if we're going to do this. Thank you.
Councilmember Brown, Councilmember Reed.
Well, I'll go ahead. Neither did I support it, because in looking online and looking up some stuff, it was saying exactly what it said. People leave the dispensary with their stuff, and there's somebody standing out there waiting to rob them. If you're in a neighborhood area or an area where there's people around, shots, guns, bullets don't have no names on them. They just hit whoever they hit. And that is something I would not like to see anywhere near anywhere people are going to be, because it's detrimental.
Councilmember Brown, Councilmember Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor. So the Lansing and Meridian, and I do plan to Google those tonight. The information you gave, I'm assuming and thinking that was prior to the state regulating these. Is that correct?
Some of them, you're talking about when some of these occurred?
Yes.
Some of them have been since. I couldn't tell you for sure. I don't want to misspeak. I can tell you most of the ones that I'm aware of have occurred in the last 18 months. So it's not, the regulations aren't, I mean, the regulations allow you to hopefully curtail some of those issues, but I think you should still be wary of the potential problems is what I'm saying.
Councilmember Barnes.
We live in a real world. I went to Lansing, and I did go inside one of these places where you go in and get a license and et cetera, et cetera. And I found that it was in shambles. If I can walk in there with 3 other people in the same car, and all of them came out with licenses, and they never saw a doctor, a guy in there passing out license, got his little bodyguards around him. It was just like a dope house, as far as I'm concerned. We, as a council, have been under moratorium until we took this vote, mirroring Lansing. Lansing, from our point of view, did a horrible job. They weren't regulating, they were just giving everybody a license. The criminal history checks weren't thorough, and yes, it did get into some criminal activity. But that is not the norm across the board. They weren't regulating, they weren't enforcing, and they saw it get out of control. They allowed it without A law and regulation is no good without enforcement. Our chief is sitting right here as our interim city manager. You can go in Albion and buy weed right now. Ain't no fences by all these houses next door to me, because it's how they do it. And if we do this right, we talk about medical marijuana, where our citizens should be treated with dignity and respect, and a cloud should not be put over their heads by this council prior to this coming to fruition. We've done at least 4 years of looking at Lansing. Then we start looking at other cities who are doing it right. Right in our own county, we have cities doing it right. But we have medical needs here where our citizens shouldn't have to get transportation and travel and take every money outside of the city to buy medical marijuana. And if we regulate this right, yes, there's a potential for problems. Just like with alcohol, when you made alcohol illegal, what happened? And you still got moonshine coming into town right now. Let's try to stay focused on doing this with regulation and enforcement. Thank
you. The question I have is, so, and not that there's any plans or any discussion or anything like this, but I just, it's a hypothetical. So let's say someone, there's like kind of 2 main strip malls in that district, and someone one of the owners wanted to lease to a dispensary, okay? How would that play out with the fence? Would it be like the fence in the rear part, or how would that work? And I suspect that at least on one of them, it might not even meet the 500-foot thing from school property.
I don't know that. I think in the case of it, if it's in a facility that isn't a standalone facility, I mean, the fence may not apply. I mean, we might have to adapt that. But I mean, I'll tell you what's. You're seeing more and more of these businesses operate in a standalone capacity because a lot of landlords aren't willing to do a lease, because since it's still a violation of federal law, they'd be subjecting themselves to potential forfeiture of the real property. And a lot of landlords aren't frankly willing to risk that. I mean, I'm not saying I haven't seen it, period. I'm just saying most people do the standalone facility. But if we did run into that, I mean, we maybe have to build in a provision that if it's in a multi-unit structure, that it could be waived upon approval or something like that.
Okay. Councilor French.
I would like to see the number 500 feet from schools, and I think from a residential point of view, it's a little tough. For a I mean, I don't know if we want to micromanage the ordinance, so we say if it's in a strip mall, it doesn't have to have a fence, but it's got to be 500 feet from residential area, or do we just want to talk about fences entirely? I just want to put a distance at 500 feet, or 300 feet, or 400 feet, and handle the fence. Because I think you're right. I think that a dispensary is a different sort of facility than a grow, process, transport, testing kind of facility. But
and honestly, I mean, looking at the map and the way the city is set up, I'm not sure how much space is going to be left to even do it. So I think that tempers. But I just feel that we should, I guess, start off maintaining what we've done with the other facilities, which is the 500 from schools, 250 from everything else.
Right, we just need.
I'd say 250 at the residence.
Same for residential too.
Yeah.
300.
I mean, so what I'll do, and I mean, when we put this together and bring it I mean, certainly the council can further discuss and amend at first reading, and let me know. I mean, this is just so I can put together a draft.
So we're meeting on, next Monday, the 9th, and that's is that 7 or 6? Can
7?
It's at 7. I wouldn't be opposed to, Councilman Brown suggested like a 6:30, if we can. I don't know if it's enough time to, what did you have in mind?
I was thinking if we were gonna take action, we could do it then. But what I'm hearing Attorney Hartnett say is he's gonna draft something and bring it for a first reading.
Well, if you want to approve these individually next week, I mean, that's fine. I won't have a draft of the ordinance for you Monday. I mean, it would need to be by the next council meeting, the next regular meeting, for the actual draft.
The 16th.
Yeah.
Okay.
I won't be here, but that's okay.
On 16th?
I will not be here on the 16th.
Oh, okay.
But that's okay. Don't.
So,
I'm open to either way.
okay. So we'll just do it on the 6th.
First meeting on the 16th.
Yeah.
Second meeting on the
Okay.
first meeting in May. So.
Okay, that works. Is there any?
Yes, I have more. Sorry.
Okay.
Is there, I mean, provisioning centers are a unique animal, so I just want to make sure we cover everything. So the other thing that most ordinances have is they limit the hours of operation.
Okay.
What I commonly, I mean, there's a variation on, you know, stop times. Usually it's somewhere like 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night is when they have to close, and they can't open again until 6, 7, 8 in the morning, somewhere, something like that, to avoid having, you know, to basically monitor the facility's business during those AM hours.
Okay, so you, can you explain that? So,
like, for example,
are you talking about early morning?
I'm talking about early morning.
Oh, yeah, okay,
so,
okay.
Like, for example, like Leone Township.
Okay.
My understanding is their ordinance requires provisioning centers to cease operations at 11 p.m. and can't reopen until like 7 a.m. or something like that. So I think the city should consider something similar, whether it doesn't necessarily have to be that exact time, but I think you want to avoid having operations during those AM hours.
Councilmember Barnes, Councilmember French.
I would ask that this council consider the hours of our regular pharmacies, the ones we have in town, whatever time they open and close, out medical, run it along that way. We can make them keep it clean.
Probably like 10 to 6 or something like that.
Yeah.
Enough family fair like
Councilmember French.
I would say also, just to sort of minimize the risk of difficulty, that it be during daylight hours, right? So maybe it's 9 until 5. I just worry that crime happens at night, and so if you right, more happens at night, and so I just prefer that it be during the daylight hours rather than at night.
Okay.
So I think we're on a similar path.
So one question, can you read what the standard time that you're familiar with is what?
So, I mean, our ordinance was largely based off of Leone Township. My understanding was they said that they could not operate between the hours of 11 p.m. and I want to say it was like 7 a.m. or something like that.
So could we say something like, well, that's a problem for, I mean, I don't know if police monitoring, but like 7, I mean, if you.
I mean, I think you should, and with all deference to Councilman French, I think you should stick with times as opposed to daylight hours, because you're going to have the changes with daylight savings with when you get to winter and it gets dark at 5 o'clock, as opposed to in August when it stays light out until 9:30.
What about 7 to 7?
9 a.m.
I don't have a problem with that.
I mean, because what does the pharmacy?
I'm trying to find family fairs hours.
Okay.
9 to 7.
9 a.m. to 7.
Okay. Is that?
It is.
It's so family was
They
what?
open at 9 a.m. and close at 7 p.m.
Okay, that makes
9 to 7.
that makes more sense. Yeah, what weekends? How did Leone Township?
I think it was just a flat hours of operation.
7 days a week.
To the best of my memory, I don't have that one with me, but I don't think they changed days.
Okay. So what I'm hearing, is like a 9 to 7. That's what the main pharmacy does. I mean, is there a major objection to that?
Yeah.
Councilman Barnes.
I think you stay within the pharmacy hours that are established by our pharmacies in the city. Keep it simple. It's supposed to be medical marijuana. The pharmacies close from 9 to 7 on Sundays, I think, what?
Yeah.
So one may be open, one may be closed.
I think that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you. The hours vary because Young's closes at 7 p.m., they open at 8, and then we know Parks has a, so it just varies. I think no one stays open later than 7, so we consider definitely that's a end time, if not prior to 7.
And I think that would work for people who work, you have different shifts and things like that. So
What about Sunday?
from what I'm hearing from Attorney Harkness is there's really no, that would be up to the business, or is there a mandatory?
Let me check.
Well, see, I think my question is that I don't know if we can really, and that's a legal question, but I don't know if we really can regulate based on day.
Some of them are on Sunday, I think.
Yeah. 1 second.
I'm checking to see.
Some of them are.
So Leone Township, they don't designate it by day. They just say no provisioning center shall be open between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. Period.
So I think that, in my understanding, because I know Councilmember French was making reference to this, there was something a couple of years ago that came up regarding alcohol on Sundays, and I don't know if we could.
Well, that's a little bit different because there's certain things in the in state alcohol regulations where the local municipality can weigh in on liquor licenses on whether or not they can operate on Sundays and be exempt from certain requirements. Those requirements aren't necessarily present in the Controlled Substances Act.
Okay. So basically, if what I'm hearing is if we do a 9 to 7, that's up to the business on what days they want to operate at in that time frame.
I think so. I mean, I can look into whether or not we can regulate, whether or not they operate on a Sunday. I just know that we regulate alcohol businesses because of those state provisions.
Okay.
So, but I can look into that.
Councilmember French.
So just a Google search on pharmacies open on Sundays, and they all are. They're limited hours, 10 to 3, 9 to 4, things like that. But yeah, so I agree. I think 7 days a week. But leave it to the store owner to decide.
Yeah. Councilmember Barnes.
But we have the authority to regulate the hours of operation. That's what we're talking about right now.
Right.
But we can say Sunday 10 to 3 or whatever we like. I don't want it to be wide open. I don't want it to be every day of the week. Then you get your prescription like the rest of us do, and it lasts a certain amount of time. You don't want it wide open. I'm telling you.
Well, I would think, Councilmember French.
Thank you, Councilman Barnes. I hear what you're saying. I also am sensitive to folks who are working second and third shift and being available, to get what they need. Sundays may be the only time they can, and so I just want to be cognizant of that. So
yeah, I think my question is I don't know if we have the legal justification for.
Well, I mean, I guess I would say this. I can say that I will look into whether or not you can preclude it at all on Sundays. I'm fairly confident that you could have different hours on the weekends if you so choose. I mean, you can choose to be consistent and say, here's what it's going to be, or you could say, on Sundays, we're going to limit the hours to this. That, I think with a fair degree of confidence, I can say that you could probably change the hours of operation on Sunday.
Okay. I'm fine with just a consistent 9 to 7, but is there any major objection?
Yeah, I got one.
Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make a comment about on Sundays. I just think we should limit the time on Sundays. I like that.
Councilmember Barnes.
I think that our chief Kip can attest to some of the situations that we face with legal marijuana participants now. The ideal of this is totally medicinal to help them get better. But Cullen has alluded to it too. Some of it is off the rail. And I don't want Albion to be wide open and available to get off the rail like Lansing. Lansing, by its own council, has attested that they dropped the ball. The PO situation, I'm going to keep this all pointed, off the road, because they have too much access to the prescription. And if we make it too accessible, we would be opening the door for criminality. I want that door to be as shut as tight as possible. Just keeping it real, right here in Albion, we have a problem with the pill and the medical marijuana. Period. I'll leave that alone.
So we can expeditiously work through this. So I'm hearing what Councilmember Lawler is saying. I'm hearing what Councilmember Barnes is saying. So I'll start with I didn't register major objections to from 9 to 7. So would you object for a regular work week, Monday through Friday? Are you objecting to a 9 to 7 scheme? Okay, so that's not a problem. So, and then I'm hearing Councilmember Lawler question Sundays, but I think if we're going to do it Sundays, it probably needs to be the weekend, because I don't know if we can, Do you share the concern about Sunday, or do you share a concern about Sunday and Saturday? Councilmember French, Spicer, and then you had your hand up.
So if you go back historically, stores were often had limited hours only on Sunday, not on Saturday. I don't think we need to make a weekend separate from weekday. We could say the work week for local businesses is typically Monday through Saturday, closed Sunday, or limited hours on Sunday. And so I think we could, and I would be open to a more restrictive Sunday. I just don't want to lose out on Saturday business for people who work a long day and may not be able to get in, or when they have free time, it's a long line, and so I just want to. I would agree with any sort of restriction on Sunday. And if you look at Rite Aid Pharmacy, they're open from 10 until 3 on Sunday. So I'll throw that out there as a Sunday restricted hours time.
Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you, Mayor. I would also like to just say that I would support even a Sunday complete closure of the medical marijuana facility. I know that it'll take a majority of council to take that action. However, everybody needs a rest. Let them rest. Get it 6 days a week. That's just my opinion, my preference. However, we have to vote on this, and it'll take decision will reign. Thank you.
Councilmember Barnes, excuse me.
Due to a professional situation, I think the closing time we should discuss in our goal setting meeting. I will explain it again.
Okay, so what we'll do, we'll come back to that. We'll reserve that for up the 9th. Is that okay? I know we put it on the 16th. We'll talk about it on the 9th. Is there any further information?
One more thing.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so I want to give you a little bit of context here. So if you recall, when we were talking about the other facilities, the total number of licenses that the council authorized, we ended up going with 20. I want to tell you that, for those of you who aren't familiar, Councilman Barnes has talked about Lansing. What initially happened in Lansing at one point, they actually had over 75 dispensaries operating throughout the city. It was a nightmare. They were everywhere. So what they've done with their new ordinance is they've actually pared that down to 25 licenses that they'll issue for dispensaries. So interestingly enough, from what I'm told, they've reviewed 18 applications so far for dispensaries, and they haven't approved any of them because nobody can meet the requirements. So here's what I would suggest to council. Lansing's about 10 times the size of Albion. Statistically then, I would say that Albion I wouldn't increase the total number of licenses that the city has. I would keep it capped at 20. And I would say that you should, my recommendation to you would be to authorize no more than 2 dispensaries in the city.
I would agree
Given the size of the city.
I would agree with that.
Well, so I have one question. So, have other municipalities faced, I guess legal action by capping putting a cap based on the type of facility versus just a general cap?
Not that I'm aware.
Okay.
The only litigation that I'm aware of, and it's a new statute, so I'm sure further litigation will be forthcoming, but the only litigation I'm aware of is with regards to license fees.
Okay. Now, do we, okay, so I'm just asking questions. Do we, I think I asked this when we set the 20, if we award 2 and the licenses, expiration date comes up, and someone else comes in and says, okay, I want a license, does that create any kind of legal issues for us?
I would say this, there's 2 things. One, if, for example, let's say you have 2 facilities operating for a year, for whatever reason you decide, we don't want to give dispensary A a renewal of their license, we're instead going to authorize a license for dispensary C. As long as you can justify it as it relates to the criteria you have in the ordinance, you're going to be fine. But what I would also say to council is, we've capped things at 20 with the idea that the city kind of needs to get time to adjust to this whole process, because none of the staff really even know what to do with the applications that we do have right now. You can always increase the number at a later date. If we get to the point where it's like, oh, okay, we can do 30 licenses, hey, we think we can use more dispensaries, we can always add to it. It's just harder to take away. So, I would suggest that you err on the side of being conservative, and then see how the city kind of stretches its legs with this entirely new concept, and then as we grow comfortable with it, we can add where growth areas demand.
Okay. Is there any major objection to that from council or council members?
2.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's clear. Okay. And that's all your questions?
That's all I have for tonight.
Okay. So just to sum it up, we've given some guidance, and then we'll discuss the question about hours, let's say 30 minutes before our study session on the 9th. And then we'll have the first, we're going to start at 6:30 on the 9th and have a 30-minute discussion on the time, hours of operation, and then we'll have the goal-setting session, and then we'll have the first reading of the ordinance on the 16th. Okay, so we finished discussion of that. We will move on to item I, request approval of employment agreement with Director of Public Safety Scott Kipp for interim city manager position. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Would you like to?
Sure. So, for those of you who were not on council the last time we did a search, basically this memorandum is a modification of the previous memorandum that we did for a temporary employment agreement for our interior manager. It outlines all the duties as prescribed by the city charter. I've modified the compensation provisions pursuant to what was agreed to. Those are the first 2 paragraphs on page 2. And then, that's basically it.
Okay. Any questions or comments from council? Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, ask for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Barnes?
Yes.
Reed? Brown?
Yes.
Lawler?
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes. Future agenda items, I do have one. This is kind of, was discussed during the legislative day. Superior Street. I think we need to have an update about that, and especially, you know, when I talk with interim manager Kip, I think we need to look and see what we can do in terms of supporting the businesses and what we can get from the state. And you know, there were some, Councilmember Lawler was there. There was some interesting discussion about leveraging that to deal with some other issues, whether it's you know, directly with the businesses that are going to be affected or other infrastructure issues in the town. So I would just say a discussion of the status of Superior Street. Councilmember French.
Do we want Greg Finola to be present, representative from MDOT?
I think it'd be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah. So any future, Councilmember Spicer, Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. Mayor, in keeping with momentum for the Project Rising Tide, I don't want council to neglect what's been suggested by the governor that the visit to a current Rising Tide project or past Rising Tide project participants. So
Good
maybe
point.
that's a goal setting session thing, but I just wanted to bring it up.
That's-
Be a future item.
Thank you. And I want to piggyback off. That's a good point. I think that I know one of the next steps in Project Rising Tide was to kind of identify kind of 3 top community goals. And I think that could be done maybe with that panel. So I'll be in touch with the interim manager and in preparation for the next meeting. Thank you. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I mentioned last meeting I would like these recognitions on the April 16th meeting, and I'll assist with this. Mrs. Weatherford and Mr. Holt both turned 100 years old, and I think the council should recognize them.
Okay.
Centenary. The centenarian special.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
awesome. How many do we have now?
Are there any future agenda item requests from council this evening? Oh, and we do need to schedule the session with Attorney Smith, because that was floating out. So we approved it, we haven't set a date, so that's another additional thing.
I will not be here from the 15th to the 22nd. I'm getting a vacation.
Okay, so we'll
So just
send out, we can do a doodle or something like that.
Discuss it at the 15th, 16th meeting.
Okay. Councilmember Brown.
I passed.
Okay. Are there any future, and then obviously, do you want to wait to the 16th? I think Krista could.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll add Councilmember Lawler and the Union Steel property to the 16th, and Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you. If we could ask the interim city manager, I know that there are bike racks downtown, those inverted U-shape, and I was also told that we have others that haven't been installed. I was wondering where they're going, do we know where they're going to be placed, and are there more?
I've seen them actually installing them this week. They've installed some more in the north part of Superior Street, and there's also 3 out in front of City Hall now as well. So I'm not sure if they have actually more to install, but I know they've been working on it this week.
Okay, great, thanks. Just wanted to-
Councilmember Barnes and French.
Get an update on the asbestos inspection on Austin Avenue.
Okay. Councilmember French?
No, that was,
Oh,
I was
okay.
going to comment on the bike racks, but.
Okay. It's okay. Seeing no further future agenda items.
Just did that.
Everyone is here, and we'll open up to public comments. Persons addressing the city council shall limit their comments to no more than 3 minutes. We ask that you observe proper decorum. Are there any public comments this evening? Please state your name and address.
Eric Worley, President and CEO of the Greater Albion Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau. I want to commend Mayor and Council for the approval of the resolution for the Great North Country Trail Association Trail Town designation. I returned from the Pure Michigan Governor's Conference on Tourism last week, And that was the major push they're doing to communities throughout Michigan, is promoting recreation and using the natural resources that we have. And I think here in Albion we have some great trails and rivers and some parks that we really need to promote more. Having this designation will help us do that. They presented that the biggest generational shift is now the millennials like myself who are interested in camping, hiking, recreation. So if we can position ourselves as being that spot for the largest generation group that we have for population, as being that source for what they want to do the most, I think that helps Albion position itself as one of those major tourist attractions in the state, if not the region. So I just want to thank the council and mayor for approving that resolution, and I look forward to working with our county trailway association and really promoting our trails that we have here. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further public comment this evening?
Wanda Kemp, 703 Valhalla Drive. Excuse me. My ears kind of perked, so I'm hoping I misunderstood when I heard far as Beamer. And hoping one of your marijuana dispensers won't be placed in that area, because my mother runs a business in that area. And her clients, I grew up on Hoagland, which is parallel to Beamer, and her residents walk that area when they're out exercising. So I do want that to be taken into consideration. Also, it kind of like behooves me that she was told she couldn't put an adult daycare in a neighborhood where families is at, but yet I'm hoping it's not being considered that you would take a marijuana dispensary and put in that area. I was also told, and not sure how true that is, but they're also supposed to be, is there going to be a church, I do believe, built also on Beamer? So you might want to also put that in consideration. Children still play in that area. It is a nice wooded area. It would be nice to see something be put there, but something that everybody can use, the young people in the area could use. That's not I'm about my youth. I'm sorry. Anytime I come up here, I'm about my youth. So that's not anything that would benefit that area with all the youth that's in that area. So if I heard right, I really hope you would reconsider that.
Is there any further public comment this evening?
Alfreda Dysart Drake, 1016 South Superior Street. And I guess I have to echo when it comes to the hours, and as you all doing further discussion, that Sunday will be a time that they will not have hours. And I know where I live on Superior Street, and I wouldn't want anything marijuana in my neighborhood. And I know people are in jail because of marijuana, but that's a whole nother story. And so I think, being careful about how close we do put it to residents, I'm sure if you plopped it right by Albion College or Locust Lane and these other areas like this, you'd have a lot of uproaring going on in this community. So we have to be careful where we put. There are other people who live on Beamer Street also, and I have to echo what Wanda just said. So please, in your further discussion, do just please consider that people do live there. They do live there. And if there's going to be a church there, I wouldn't want it being close to my church either. So please consider those things as you move forward with your discussions with this marijuana stuff. And again, like I said, people are in jail for marijuana.
Is there any further?
Good evening, everyone, Mayor and Council. And my name is Ronnie Sims. I reside at 710 West Erie Street. And I'm here because for 6 years, I've been trying to purchase the property adjacent to my home, 708 and 706 Erie Street. I've written 3 letters to council in regards to my interest in purchasing those, and I haven't heard anything yet. So I'm asking if you all could please look into that, and if whoever could contact me as soon as possible. The lots are just sitting there, so I'm willing to take care of them and purchase them as soon as possible. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we're gonna. This is for public comment, and then we can.
I'll see you after.
Yeah. Is there any further public comment this evening? Okay. Commissioner Tompkins.
I'm on the clock, so I'm going to hurry
up
as quickly as I can here.
That is way.
I know the game's coming, so yeah, exactly. I know. People are ready. Mr. Mayor, council members, interim city manager Kip and Clerk Domingo, residents of the City of Albion, and the folks watching this evening, good evening. My name is Gary Tompkins. I'm your County Commissioner. I want to speak to you real quickly this evening regarding some advocacy or some things going on behind the scenes that I've been working on for the City of Albion, as Mr. Mayor, I believe, had just recently mentioned. On February 20th, your meeting, representatives from the MDOT as well as your business owners were here regarding the Superior Street brick project and the potential issue that's going to cause your downtown businesses when it closes again for furniture or reconstruction, if you will. Well, I left a bad taste in my mouth at that point in time. So the next day, I communicated with our senator and our representative regarding that issue, not only the safety issues, but also the issue that's going to take to our businesses. In many cases, maybe not being able to stay open anymore because of that, taking that one additional time. Well, about a week ago, I got a response from Senator Knopf's legislative aide regarding Senator Knopf's in the General Budget Subcommittee meeting. He actually requested the MEDC to see what can be done to help the downtown businesses during that closure time. So certainly taking the opportunity to advocate for the City of Albion is certainly something that I feel is incumbent upon me to do, and I will continue to do so and let you know as I find things out as well. Additionally, today I also submitted a correspondence to both Senator and the representative regarding the fact is that I don't believe that Albion should have to pay or have to have a city match for the reconstruction project. There should be no requirement on the City of Albion to match, considering the fact that it's not your problem. You didn't create the failure at all. So just something I'll continue to advocate for going forward. So anything I can do, I will certainly help you moving forward. In my monthly newsletter, it was just released and is available to folks. And if you're not on the email list and interested in receiving it, you can drop me an email on the bottom of the newsletter. And hard copies will be available April 4th at the Albion District Library as well, and it's a great resource to know what's going on in and around the 7th District. In the newsletter this month on page 3, I actually provide a debrief of my attendance at the Michigan Association of Counties Legislative Conference from March 26th to the 28th. Of particular note, on March 27th, there actually was an elections panel there, some pundits, if you will, talking about potential ballot issues. As you folks talk about medicinal marijuana and whatnot, we also, one of the things we talked about was recreational marijuana, and most likely it will be on the ballot in November. It has the necessary signatures moving forward, and we will probably see that. Redistricting, many of you know about the redistricting efforts that have been going on. It looks like it will have enough signatures to go on the ballot. However, most likely we'll have a legal challenge, so you'll probably, most likely, not definite, but not see that on the ballot this November. And then finally, part-time legislature, which is something that's also have been discussed, seems to have fizzled out, does not have the required signatures. I've requested an extension, but most likely won't see that on the ballot as well. On page 4, I also provide a breakdown of senior services that happened in 2017 in the 7th District. 724 Albion residents actually took advantage of the senior services in Calhoun County. For the year of 2017, we had 1,331 residents that actually took part in senior services in the 7th District as a whole, which accounts for about 23% of the total in the county. Finally, on page 5, I also detail all of the senior services that are available with contact information, so that folks, if they have an interest, they can certainly take advantage of that. Of particular note, though, I met with Laura Ferrara of Centricare in Battle Creek this past month, just to talk to her about her PACE program, which is the program for all-inclusive care for the elderly. It's a wonderful program. Certainly the people on the west side of the county get a chance to really benefit from that. However, with transportation issues, many of our seniors can't get over to that side of the county. So I've been in discussion with her to determine if there's a possibility that we could have more of a presence on the east side of the county, whether that be some kind of a mini center of some sort, so that we have our seniors have the ability to, with transportation being a problem, so that they still have the ability to have the same services as everybody else does in the county. So I'll keep you up to breast as well as what's going on there in future meetings. And then finally, real quickly, sorry to take the time, the Calhoun County Senior Fair will be taking place this Thursday, April 5th, from 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Marshall Middle School Gym. It's an excellent opportunity for seniors. There's going to be over 90 vendors there. I'll actually be manning the Calhoun County Senior Services booth from 12 to 1:30. So if any of you are interested in seniors, come out and see me. But it's an excellent opportunity for seniors to get lots of free stuff, because there's a lot of free stuff there, but also the different services that certainly all our seniors can benefit from. So with that being said, unless there's anything for me, you folks have a wonderful evening, all right? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Tompkins. We appreciate you. Seeing no further public comment, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support. Moved and second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned.
Sonia's got a game to watch.